Good day everyone, I am Judeline R. Monte, one of the assigned reporters for today's discussion.
I am Mr. Ian Chelwin Misiano and we will talk about Chapter 8 Organizational Leadership.
But before we proceed to our discussion, let me share to you first the learning outcomes. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to explain what organizational leadership is, distinguish between leadership and management, describe different organizational leadership styles, explain what situational leadership, servant leadership are, and discuss how to sustain change in an organization. Expected of professional teachers who care for and embark on continuing professional development is a promotion along the way. With this in mind, this course won't be complete without a discussion of an effective leader and the manager, for which you will be in the future manager. But should you refuse offer for a managerial or leadership position in school or in the bigger educational organization because of the love for teaching and learners, this lesson on organizational leadership won't be laid to waste because even as teachers, you are already a leader and a manager. You are a teacher and a class or a classroom manager. To begin with our discussion, let me show you an activity. Activity Let's Draw. Present or draw an object that symbolizes the leader of an organization. Explain your symbol of leadership. For this activity, we draw a crown that for us, this represents or symbolizes as a leader of organization. Because we all know that crown is for the one who leads their citizen if you are handling a palace. You are the king or queen of your nation, the one who guides them and leads them in any circumstances or problems that all of them may encounter. Let us now proceed for analyzing the activity. Analysis. Let's analyze. Based on the symbols and drawings presented, who is an organizational leader? An organizational leader is a person who stands as a leader in a particular group or organization. As what the crown shown, the one who have it might be a king or queen of a palace, the leader of a particular place. He or she shows that she have the power to guide their constituents. What do organizational leaders do? An organizational leaders are the ones who communicate an organizational mission, visions, and their strategic plans and goals that they need to attain. They also build their employees or workers' morale that will help them to grow personally and may contribute the positivity towards their goals. Let us now move on to the third question. What qualities do they possess? The qualities of an organizational leaders possess are the ability to make, plan, organize, control, coach, and delegate. They must communicate well and holds themselves responsibilities and provides motivation to the employees. As a leader, they also sets an expectation and continuously evolving, and they do not act alone because they collaborate to their group, organization, or company. They must create and articulate a clear vision for their organization. So in this activity, it gives us an idea what organizational leadership is. Let us now move on and bear with me along the discussion. What is organizational leadership? What comes in our mind when we hear the word organizational leadership? I know that we have our own ideas for this. However, we do not fully understand and know what it is. And to further analyze and construct our discussion, let us continue. So when we say organizational leadership, It means that leaders have strategic goals for the organization while motivating individuals within the organization to successfully carry out assignments in order to realize those goals. In the school setting, the school leaders help set the goals or target for the school and motivates teachers, parents, learners, non-teaching personnel, and other members of the community to do their task to realize the school goals. As for the organizational leadership, the leaders are intended to have structural goals to attain for their organization and will help them to motivate each member to have an excellent work. However, in school, the leaders are those who help to successfully carry out their targets and missions and to know the extent of what goals do they have to acquire. Let's say, for example, as a teacher of elementary grade level, you're assigned to do the honor of leading and guiding your students because it is your responsibility you must take upon. You must assure that your students are learning from you and to help them to know new knowledge and elaborate them in a simple way that your students could understand. Hence, as teacher, you are also totally their second parents and you must guide them with your heart, your values, discipline to attain their wants in near future. Organizational leadership works towards what is best for the organization as a group at the same time. They does not sacrifice the individual members for the sake of the people, nor sacrifice the welfare of the group for the sake of individual members. Both individual and group are necessary. This means that, as a leader, you must have the ability to protect both members and your organization because you must be the one who will help them to meet the needs of your organization. And you should not sacrifice any one of them for only the sake of one. For example, you're currently facing problems in your organization or in your company if you have. And you think that if you use your one members for only sake of your company, you should not do it because how can your company grow if you are using one another just the sake of one important matter? Before you take action, think first what would be the possible impact of it, neither good or bad. Organizational leadership is also an attitude and a work ethic that empowers an individual in any role to lead from the top, middle, or bottom of an organization. Applied to the school setting, the school leaders helps anyone from the organization, not necessarily from the top, to lead others. An example of this leadership, which does not necessarily come from the top of organization, is teaching leadership. An example, the teacher is supposed to start a strong developing vision for their classroom. They also must take strategic action to reach their vision every day and are adept at building relationships across lines of differences. Teachers continually push themselves to learn and improve for the preparation of their career impact. Let us now move on about leadership versus management. Are leadership and management synonymous? Is a leader a manager or is a manager a leader? If I am a good leader, does it follow that I am also a good manager? Or, if I am a good manager, I am at the same time a good leader? Not necessarily. Because when we say leadership and management, leadership refers to an individual's ability to influence, motivate, and enable others to contribute toward organizational success. Meaning, leadership is the ability to influence and motivates each member of the organization that could reach their goals and mission that will lead them to success. However, a management consists of controlling a group or a set of entities to accomplish a goal. So meaning to say, the management are assigned to control and inquire ideas or information to their organization that could serve as their guide to do their task appropriately. How do you manage your company is an example of management. For this too, it has different function. Thus the leadership is to influence and motivate. However, the management refer for controlling the group or managing it to accomplish their mission. To further understand the differences between the two, let's say, for example, as a leader of an organization, you are showing up on time of your meetings and turn to work when it is scheduled. That would mean to result for being an effective leader. However, a management is through handling his or her personal finances. How does he or she handle when there is difficult situation facing and to overcome those obstacles that they may come along the way? A school head must be both a leader and a manager. Do you know why? Because a school head leads the school and community to formulate the vision, mission, goals, and school improvement plan. This is a leadership function. She or he sees to it that this plan get well implemented on time and so ensures that resources needed are there, the persons to do the job are qualified and available. This is a management function. Imagine if the school head is only a leader. You have the vision, mission, goals, and school plan, but no implementation. The plan is good only in paper. If you do the task of a manager only, you will be focusing the details of the day-of-day implementation without the big picture, the vision and mission. So, it big picture for connect and meaning. This means that it is best that a school leader is both a leader and a manager. The school head must act as a leader and manager to further utilize and form the plan of how it is going to be. The comparison of manager and leader. Managers, they administer. When we say administer, it is how you manage and being responsible for your organization. Their process is transactional, meet objectives and delegate tasks. When we say transactional, it means relating to the conducting of a business or an organization, also for the exchange and interaction between people. In leaders, they innovate, which means to make change in something established, especially by introducing new methods, ideas, or products. Their process is transformational, develop a vision and find a way forward. When we say transformational, it is relating to or involving transformation for changes. An example, someone encourage and do motivate to have development process in his or her work. Managers are work-focused. From the word itself, focusing in their work. The goal is to get things done. They are skilled at allocating work, while leaders are people-focused. The goals include both people and results. They care about you and want you to succeed. Both people and results are included. Managers have subordinates. They create circles of power and lead by authority. A manager actually tells his or her subordinate to accomplish the tasks because they are the one who is responsible for doing it. Also, as subordinate, you are the manager's employee. So you need to respond as what your managers tell you to do as being their subordinate. While in leaders, they have followers. As a leader, You have your followers, unlike manager who have subordinates, because as a leader, they lead for inspiration and motivation. They create circles of influence and lead by inspiring. Managers do things right. Managers enact the existing culture and maintain status quo. However, the leaders shape the culture and drive integrity. They are the ones who is asked to lead for culture of the organization. Moving forward, there are also different types of skills demanded of leaders. The technical skills, human skill, and conceptual skill. The technical skill refers to any type of process or technique like sending email, preparing a PowerPoint presentation. They are needed to use a piece of equipment and working that have an ability to coach and tells the employee on its operation or during the work. Human skill refers to the ability to work effectively with people and to build teamwork. It also refers to as people skills or soft skills. Human skills are generally considered important are effective communication, either verbal nor written, which helps to motivate others and for the development in cooperation of the organization. Lastly, conceptual skill. It refers to the ability to think in terms of models, frameworks, and broad relationships such as long-range plans. It is the ability to identify and solve problems that would allow an individual to better understand complex scenarios to develop creative solutions. The leader has the ability to strategize potential situations and how they are going to resolve the problem. In short, conceptual skill deals with ideas, while human skill concerns relationship with people and technical skill involves psychomotor skill and thing. The ideal school leader must possess all those three skills that are demanded of leaders. There are four that are considered as leadership styles. These are autocratic leaders, consultative leaders, democratic leaders, and laissez-faire or free-rein leadership style. First, autocratic leaders. When we say autocratic leader, they do decision-making by themselves. The leaders are the ones who control all decisions. They make choices or decisions based on their own beliefs and without suggestions or advice from the organization. Some examples of an autocratic leaders are Napoleon Bonaparte, Queen Elizabeth I, and others. They have the control over their organization called authoritarian. The second type, consultative leaders. When we say consultative leaders, they allow participation of the members of the organization by consulting them but make the decision themselves. When we say consultative leaders, they have consultation to their employees or members. However, for the final decision, they are the ones who make the decision only. The third one, democratic leaders. They allow the members of the organization to fully participate in decision making. So in this type of leadership, all the members of the group are taken more participative in the decision making. Thus, everyone has the opportunity to exchange ideas or any opinions regarding on the problem. There is an equality in this form of leadership. The last one, laissez-faire or free-rein leadership style. Leaders avoid responsibility and leave the members of the organization to establish their own work. In this style of leadership, it leads to the kanya-kanya mentality, one of weaknesses of the Filipino character. So in this type of leadership, the leaders have an attitude of reliance on their employees. They let their employees to use their own creativity or resources to meet the goals of their organization. And to further understand, example are economic policies held by capitalist countries, when a homeowner is allowed to plant whatever they want in the front of their yard without having a permission from their city. Among all the leadership styles, the consultative and democratic leadership are the only ones that allow participation of the members of the organization. But between these two, democratic style is genuinely participative because it abides by the rule of the majority.
The situational leadership model. In situational leadership, effective leaders adapt their leadership style to the situation of the members of the organization, to the readiness and willingness of the group members. Paul Hersey and Kenneth H. Blanchard, 1996, characterized leadership style in terms of the amount of task behavior and relationship behavior that the leader provides to their followers. They categorize all leadership styles into 4 behavior styles, which they name S1 to S4. Behavior styles in situational leadership. S1. Selling or directing. Individuals lack the specific skills required for the job in hand and they are willing to work at the task. They are novice but enthusiastic. S2. Telling or coaching. Individuals are more able to do the task. However, they are demotivated for this job or task, unwilling to do the task. S3. Participating and supporting. Individuals are experienced and able to do the task but lack the confidence or the willingness to take on responsibility. S4. Delegating. Individuals are experienced at the task and comfortable with their own ability to do it well. They are able and willing to not only to do the task but to take the responsibility for the task. If the group members are able, willing and confident, high readiness, the leader uses a delegating leadership style. The leader turns over the responsibility for decision and implementation to the members. On the other hand, if the group members have low readiness, that is unable and unwilling, the leader resorts to telling the group members what to do. In short, competent members of the organization require less specific direction than less competent members. Less competent people need more specific direction than more competent people. Servant leadership. Robert K. Greenleaf, 1077, coined the paradoxical term servant leadership. How can one be a leader when he or she is a servant? That's the common thinking. But the paradox is Greenleaf's deliberate and meaningful way of emphasizing the qualities of a servant leader. He describes the servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. The best test is, do those served grow as persons? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? And what is the effect on the least privileged in society? Will they benefit or at least not further deprived? Greenleaf, 1977-2002, page 27. The first desire of the servant leader is to serve. How? By leading. The greatest teacher is humankind. Jesus Christ was a servant leader. He taught his disciples, "He who wants to great must to be the servant of all." The life of the greatest teacher was a life of a total service to all. We often hear the term public servant. to refer the appointed and elected officials of the government to emphasize the fact that they indeed are servants of the people. Their first duty is to serve, and in serving, they lead. They don't think of their power as leaders first. If they do, they tend to become more conscious of their importance felt over their conscious of their power over their constituents, and tend to impose that power or make their importance felt over their constituent, and forget that if ever they are given power, it is to serve their people. Someone said power corrupts, and I need it does. When leaders think first of their power and forget the very reason why such power was given, that is to serve. The greatest teacher said, "And whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave." Matthew chapter 20 verse 27. The greatest among you shall be servant. Matthew chapter 23 verse 11. If anyone wants to be first, he must be the last of all and the servant of all. Mark chapter 9 verse 35. His whole life was a life of service. In fact, he wanted to impress this idea of servant leadership by doing something dramatic in his last days on earth. He washed the feet of his apostles. Washing their feet was the work of a servant in his time. Servant leadership seeks to involve others in decision making, strongly base ethics and caring behavior, and enhance the growth of workers while improving the caring quality of organizational life. The school head who acts a servant leader forever remembers that he or she is there to serve his or her teachers, the students, the parents, etc., and not the teachers, learners, parents to serve him or her. Transformational leadership. Robert Kennedy once said, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not." Those who dream of things that never were and ask why not are not transformational leaders. The transformational leaders is not content with the status quo and sees the needed to transform the way the organization thinks, relates, and does things. The transformational school leaders see school culture as it could be and should be, not as it is, and so plays his or her role as visionary, engager, learner, collaborator, and instructional leader. As a transformational leader, he or she makes positive changes in the organization by collaboratively developing new vision for the organization and mobilizing members to work towards the vision. Sustaining change. For reforms to transform, the innovation introduced by the transformational leader must be institutional and sustained, or else that innovation is simply a passing fad that loses its favor after a time. A proof that an innovation introduced has transformed the organization is that the result or effect of the change persists or repulses even when the transformative leader is gone, or is transferred to another school, or gets promoted in the organization. We feel most comfortable with our old pair of shoes. We like to live in our comfort zones, and so sometimes we don't welcome change. And yet, we want improvement in the way we do things in our organization, in our school, or if we want to improve in life, we must be willing to change. The transformational leader ought to deal with resistance to change to succeed. There will always be resistors to change. To ensure that the innovation he or she introduces leads to the transformation of the organization. Morato of Bayan ABS-CBN 2011. gives the following advice. Number 1. Seek the support of the stakeholders. The leaders must build a strong coalition of allies in order to push for any meaningful change would yield results. Innovations cannot be forced upon the teachers, the students, the parents, the community without serious consequences. Number 2. Get people involved early and often. Resistance drop off in proportions to the involvement of participants. You may not to expect 100% support from any individual who was not personally involved in a change that affects his or her work. It is best to set up network to reach out to as many people as possible. Number 3. Plan a communication campaign to sell the innovation. Morata 2011 asserts, the change envisioned must cascade downwards to the last lesson plan or ripple sidewards to win the support of major stakeholders. Number 4. Ensure that the innovation is understood by all. The benefits and costs must be appreciated and weighed carefully. Consider timing and pacing. These are highly critical. Misstep might backfire and lack of sensitivity to stakeholders might lead to resistance. Application. Let's apply. Number 1. Based on this lesson and by means of an acrostic, give quality or specific behaviors of good leaders. See example. Example is S. S stands for servant. He is a servant first before a leader. Now we continue by filling up the rest of the letters. L stands for lead. As leaders, you must guide and lead your organization to function well. E stands for empower. In relationship, they must empower their members to have motivation to succeed. A stands for admirable. Leaders can be admirable by their followers, which the leaders give inspiration to them. D stands for developers. A leader finds a way to develop their mission and goals in an organization. E stands for enhancer. They must enhance and build teamwork for each member of the organization. R stands for responsibility. They must act how they should be that each of the members could follow. Let's proceed to number 2. You are assigned as a school head in a low-performing school. Students are poorly motivated, parents and community are not very cooperative, and teachers have low morale. As a leader, what should you do? Outline your steps. If I were designated as the principal of a falling school, the first thing I would do is seek assistance from other teachers in identifying solutions to the problem. As a leader, I should consider my co-suggestions. We educators must balance all of the proposed solutions after collecting them. To arrive at the optimum answer, we must consider the benefits and drawbacks of each option. And once we have found the ideal option, we must stick to it. Number 3. You are introducing an innovation in school. Sociologically, Filipinos are known for the Ningas Kugon mentality. How does this mentality affect school innovation? As a leader, how will you counteract it? To begin, I wanted to define the Ningas Kugon attitude. This is a mindset in which we begin anything with zeal and enthusiasm, only to lose interest and abandon it after a short period of time. As a leader, you should be able to communicate with the individuals you work with. When dealing with people that have this mindset, keep in mind that they may lose interest once you've introduced them to the topic at hand. The The new invention that will be presented should be done in such a way that the idea is introduced gradually rather than all at once. It is critical that the innovation contain stages that will keep kids' minds interested in whatever has been offered. The initial step might be to make them fall in love with the concept, but not so quickly that they forget about it. The theme would be reintroduced in the second phase, but with a little spice added to maintain attention. The third phase would be introduce the entire subject at hand and then act as if it is new things that you're introducing to the pupil, at which point the nigga-skog attitude will vanish and they won't really lose interest in the new subject. This is due to the fact that they will be anticipating the introduction of new items to them. Number 4. Two of your teachers are doing very well. 4. Strongly resist continuing professional development. 2 are about to retire and are simply waiting to retire. To make your school perform as a school head, what moves will you take? Explain. As the principal, the first thing I would do is fire you as an educational improvement consultant. You use loaded and stereotypical language that implies teachers' indifference, incomplete, and defiance, as well as a bias on your part. Because you haven't provided any information about your age, experience, tenure status, or teaching ability, I'll make some assumptions. The ones are doing well. No problem here, depending on what doing well means. About to retire, you are referring to experts who are older, more experienced, and more dedicated. They will almost universally continue to do their best for their students until the last bell rings and the last pupil leaves the classroom. About to retire does not imply that you are deadwood, ideal, and disinterested, nor that you have stopped caring or doing your best. It does imply that you do not embark on any substantial long-term projects. It also means that the school head should be looking for methods to recognize these educators for the thousands of lives they have positively impacted over their last 30 years. 4. Strongly resist continuing professional development. Many of these development programs are required for continuance, promotion, and tenure by the federal government, state, and school district. For example, despite its good intentions, the U.S. Department of Education's No Child Left Behind policy was challenged by many educators due to various unanticipated harmful repercussions. The Every Student Succeeds Act has since taken its place. Many professionals, including physicians, psychologists, engineers, data scientists, and teachers, must engage in professional development in order to stay current in their disciplines, but stating that those who reject it on a regular basis aren't excellent teachers is inaccurate. Instead of relying on experts and bureaucrats, it could be wiser to ask them why they are resistant and involve them in the development of these programs. Perhaps the opponents know something you don't. Number 5. Here are various methods that leaders employ. Identify the leadership style employed in each method. Explain your answer. Model the way. Set the example. Autocratic, because he presents himself to be a model to other members. share the vision, enlist others. Consultative, because it wanted the members to be part of the activity. Challenge the process, look for ways to grow. Autocratic, because the leader focuses on the situation, not on what the members can contribute. Enable others to act, empower others. Democratic, because it let the members fully participate in the organization. Set goals. Autocratic, because it only focused on the leader's goal, not including the members. Build trust. Consultative, because gaining your members' trust is one of the structure of the organization. Give the direction. Autocratic, because the leader is the only one decided what to do. Encourage the heart. Give positive reinforcement. Democratic, because it helps the members to fully give their best to the team. Takeaways. Organizational leadership is also an attitude and work ethic that empowers an individual in any role to lead from the top, middle, or bottom of an organization. Meaning any leaders have an organization leadership attitude because they can lead in any role in their organization. Leadership and management are not synonymous but are related to each other. They are related to each other because both have primary focus of improving the organization. Leadership is focused more on the vision, the future state of the organization, while management is concerned with the daily operation. An effective school head is both a leader and a manager. There are various leadership styles, from autocratic, consultative, democratic, and laissez-faire free-rein style. The democratic leadership style is the most participative because the leader makes the organization think as one. Decisions are arrived at by the consensus. Consultative style is also participative because it involves the members of the organization but the leader decides. Meaning, the leader gives to his or her members a chance in expressing their opinions. Autocratic leadership is dictatorial leadership. The members follow what the leader's decision. The members of the organization do not participate in decision making. In the laissez-faire leadership style, the leader does not interfere with the members of the organization who are left to decide for themselves. Meaning the leader depends on the final decision of his members. In servant leadership, it is most important that the leader sees himself or herself as a servant first before he or she is a leader. Servant leadership means that leaders will always be a servant to all before he or she is fully worthy to be called a leader. Transformational leadership is concerned with introducing and sustaining innovations. Situational leadership is leading the organization in a way that fits the situation, the readiness of the followers. The leader more likely depends on the situation of how his organization functions. For us to know if you really understand the topic, you will answer the following questions. Let's check for understanding. Directions. Write T if the statement is true and F if the statement is false. Underline the word or words that make the sentence false and supply the correct words to make the statement true. Let's reflect. What kind of a leader am I? What should I do to become an effective leader? Taking it to the net. What is meant by CQE? What is Kaizen? How are these related to transformational leadership? Let clinchers. Select the letter of the correct answer.